Okay, let's do this one last time, yeah? For real this time.
One of the things that makes the Spider-Verse movie so good is their ability to introduce great characters in a very small amount of time. It's honestly close to magic. In fact, it actually feels illegal how they keep getting away with this. They clearly have some kind of secret formula, and I honestly really want to crack this secret. So I watched all the intros multiple times, analyzing them to figure out the similarities and what exactly makes them work. But wait, why am I even doing this? Because the character introduction is crucial to the art of storytelling, because stories revolve around character, and even if you have one of the best characters ever written, like Spider-Man, it's not going to matter much if you can't communicate to the audience who that character is. You don't want to make the audience follow a protagonist for 3 hours without even letting them know any backstory or even their name, unless you're Christopher Nolan. But Tenet isn't exactly going down one of the greatest movies of all time, even though I personally liked it. So the first few moments characters on screen are extremely important in writing. The Spider-Verse movies are already at its advantage here because they essentially have the task of introducing the same character over and over and over again. But despite this, they've been able to pull it off every single time. So of course these are the movies to learn this skill from. If you can figure out how they did it with one arm tied behind their back, then you shouldn't have a problem writing normal characters. And I've been able to spot, get it, 4 key features of these intros that make them so good. One memorable thing: when you're introducing a character for the first time, especially in the middle of a story, you don't have time to stop and start going through every aspect of their character, or their personality side, their morning routine, their favorite sports team. And even if you did, no one's going to remember all that stuff anyway. They're only going to be able to pick out a few things from the info barrage you could potentially subject them to.
A bit much, isn't it?
But you know and I know that not all of that information is actually important. So why not just focus the introduction on the few important things that you want the audience to remember? That's why most of the things said in these intros are just emphasizing one particular aspect of the characters. Pavitra is easygoing, Hobie is an anarchist, you get the idea. I'm not saying actually write one-dimensional characters. Hobie is far from one-dimensional, but he almost feels like he is at first, which lets us learn more about him as the movie goes on. Contrast. This one goes hand in hand with the first one really. You can't use the same memorable thing for every single character. Peter Parker's intro is basically telling you he's Spider-Man, and that works perfectly for the first Spider-Man introduction in the franchise. But while this aspect of his character is true for basically all the Spider people,
Spider-Man.
Oh, no way. All of us are.
if the writers actually just wrote in every intro about how much they wanted to save people and the other basic aspects of Spider-Man, the audience's interest would die faster than Uncle Ben. So instead, each intro focuses on what's different about each character. Focusing, for example, the fact that Peter B is older and, well, depressed, instead of just that he's Spider-Man. In fact, the first intro makes it a point actually to show you scenes you know done differently, to tell you this is a different Spider-Man. The 3-way intro in the first movie uses this in a very special way. The 2 memorable things about Spider-Man Noir are the fact that A, he's from the past, and B, he's super serious. These could just stand as interesting aspects on their own, but instead they're used to bolster Penny and Spider-Ham's uniqueness, starting with him talking about his time, followed by Penny telling us about the future. Then he talks about his depression, which cuts straight into Parker's whimsical life. But the Spider-Man who's truly the most unique is Miguel O'Hara, and boy does it show in his intro. When he does try to do the usual comic intro at the end of the second movie, Gwen straight up cuts him off, which sets up his true intro as Spider Society, which is completely different from all the others. It still has some similarities. He breaks the fourth wall and starts with his name, so you know what's going on. But there's no fast pace, it's vague and frightening as opposed to clear cut and friendly, and there's no jokes in sight because
I'm not like the others.
Speaking of jokes, that actually is the third device here. The characters in Spider-Man are more likable because they're funny. People like funny things, people like funny people. It's not a very complex concept, which is why it seems basically mandatory in these movies that every main character gets introduced with something funny, including all the spiders. And I do mean all of them. Miguel and Gwen don't actually have any jokes in their official intros, but that's countered by the fact that their actual first appearances are chock full of comedy. The final, but certainly not less important tool is something I call instant desire, which is exactly what it sounds like. Establishing something the character wants to achieve as soon as they're introduced in the story. This not only tells you more about the character, but gives you, the audience, something to root for or hope for. And it also shows how all the characters relate to each other in terms of their goals. But it doesn't actually have to be a specific goal, by the way. It can just be a problem in their life that needs to be resolved, or a standard of reality that needs to be upheld, like the safety of a loved one, or the strict compliance with the entire multiverse to my specific expectations. Now, every intro in these movies has something like this except for Penny Parker's. But then we have this immediately after.
Now, we're just trying to find a way home.
So I think that covers it. So yeah, there's a few tips and tricks from the Spider-Verse movies. Which one of these did you notice? If you'd like to see more content like this, you could always subscribe. That would be great. Thanks for watching.